So I have a story called The Split Dog, and I think I'll tell that for you now. This is an old Appalachian folktale that's been handed down and handed down and handed down, or handed up, if you will. I had me a little dog once. It was the best rabbit hunting dog you ever saw. Well, he was running after a rabbit one day, and some fool had left a scythe lying in the grass with the curved blade pointed straight up. My little dog didn't see it, and he was running so hard and so fast that he ran smack into it, split him open. Two pieces. Oh, lucky thing I was there. So I went over and I scooped up half of my dog in one hand, and I scooped up the other half of my dog in the other hand, and I slapped them back together again. Then I took off my coat, and I wrapped him up in that right quick, and I put him in a box, and I set him near the stove. I could see he was still breathing a little bit, and I didn't want to lose this little dog of mine, so every night I'd keep him near the stove, and during the day I'd bring him outside, let the warm rays of the sun pour down on him. I did this for 3 weeks before I finally got up the nerve to look in the box and see if he was all right. But one day I looked in and I saw him start to wiggle a little bit. And so I said, "Oh, Mary, you're on the right track. You're on the right track." He's wiggling a little bit. So I kept him bandaged for another 3 weeks. And then one time I was walking along past that box, and don't you know I heard him bark? So I was so happy. I took him out of the box, I brought him outside, I started unwrapping him, and in a few minutes, out he jumped, spry as ever. But, don't you know I did a terrible thing to that little dog of mine. Remember when I put him back together? I put him back together the wrong way, too. He had 2 legs sticking up in the air, 2 legs down on the ground. Half of his head was pointing north, and the other half of his head was pointing south. I looked at my dog, and I said, "Oh, no, I ruined my little dog. I just ruined him." My little dog was looking up at me with half of his tongue going, Lord knows where the other half was, but I think it was down by his tail. So anyway, I was crying like the dickens, and he's panting. When all at once, my little dog saw another rabbit, and he took off running after it. And you know, he turned out to be an even better rabbit hunting dog after that. He'd run on 2 legs till he got tired, and he'd flip right over and run on the other 2. Lord, that dog could run going and coming. And you know what else he could do? He could bark at both ends. That's the story about my dog.